What's up, everyone? Welcome to the new channel. I wanted to base this channel on what it's like to own and ride a Pan America and my experiences with it. I see a lot of videos out there that cover the Pan America to a certain extent. They're just a lot of reviews, short-term reviews, some long-term reviews. But they're really not putting the miles on it and really getting to know the bike and live with the bike. So I figured if people were interested in getting a Pan America and are curious on what it's like to ride it, what it's like to own it, what that details, and things based around that. Now, I've had this Pan America since November of 2021. It is currently January of 2025. So I've had the bike for a little bit. I've put about 45,000 miles on the bike. So I think I have a pretty good idea of what it's like to own it, its little quirks, what it takes to maintain it, little tricks, because it has some quirks to the bike. The bike has quirks, and there are some tricks to learn when owning one. So something I should probably talk about are the quirks and the little tricks it takes that you just kind of get used to on the bike. When you buy the bike, this is from experience, and other people I've seen online have this thing, and it's a very simple issue, but people don't have the information for it. Firstly, when you buy the bike, set the PIN code. There's a pin that you can use to start up the bike. If your battery fob goes dead or anything like that, you lose a key, you can still start the bike. But if you're buying the bike used and you don't have the pin, that's a problem. So make sure your dealership sets the pin for you before you leave the dealership. Just the first thing, set the pin. Second thing about the pin and about the key fob. Change your key fob battery. Like, as soon as you get it, change the battery in your key fob. They're tiny little watch batteries. They're like $5 for two, so you can have an extra one if you need it. There were some issues with people buying them brand new off the lot and the key fob battery dying within a week. Because you don't know how long that bike's been sitting. You don't know the quality of the little tiny watch batteries in the fob. You don't know what the quality is on those. Just go out and buy a 2-pack. You can have fresh batteries. That way you don't have to worry about the key fob. Now, you'll know your key fob is dead when you go to turn the bike on and you won't hear the fuel pump prime. Normally, you can turn it on and you can hear the fuel pump. You're not going to be able to hear that if the key fob is dead. Another thing that'll happen is the screen will start to load up. It'll do the whole Harley Davidson thing, and then it'll just flash your pin screen and then go blank. So when you go to start the bike up, wait for it to load and almost immediately start clicking over on your blinker. What that'll do is that'll hold it on the pin screen. It'll start scrolling through numbers, so it'll tell the computer, hey, this person's trying to put in a code. You put in your code, you'll be able to start the bike without a key. But you gotta know your pin. Another thing to know is when you start the bike on a cold start or the first start of the day, if the bike's been sitting for a couple hours or overnight, when you first start the bike, let the bike warm up. If you start the bike up and start to drive off without letting it warm up, you'll notice that it's real easy to stall the bike. It'll kind of chug for a little bit and you can stall it super easy. I'll let my bike warm up to about 140 on your coolant temperature, and that'll tell me that the bike's warmed up, it's ready to go. Now, that's not your running temperature. It'll get higher than that. But you won't have any issues with it stalling or chugging right off the bat. So let your bike warm up. It takes maybe a minute to get up to temperature, the right temperature for it to go and be all good. This is the standard Pan America. It doesn't have the fancy suspension. It doesn't have the adaptive ride height that didn't come with any crash protection. There's got a little bit less sensors in it than the Special does. Less to go wrong in my opinion, but that's just what I wanted. I didn't need ride height because I'm 6'3". I don't need my bike to lower, but you might. Just keep that in mind. Now, I haven't done much as far as fit goes to the bike. The only thing that I've done is I've put the 2-inch risers from Harley Davidson on here. When I bought the bike, it was brand new. There wasn't really parts available. So this is kind of all I had to choose from. I know there's way more parts out there now, but these have worked great for me. It puts me in a good position when I'm standing up and getting a little rowdy in the dirt. They've worked out great for me, and they're solid. Other than that, the only things that I've done to the bike, minor cosmetic stuff, I put a shorter windscreen on here. I got all the crash protection on it. You know, I got the bark busters on here, the side crash bars. I got the Harley Davidson skid plate, because again, there wasn't much aftermarket available for the bike when I got it. But it's a solid skid plate, and it works. Mine's got a bunch of dings in it, so it works. I'm still rocking the stock seat, which has been fine for me. I haven't had any issues with my seat at all. It comes with the two heights. You have the seat in the low position or the high position. I think there's like about an inch difference, something like that. I don't know. I'll put it up. But you do have to let the seat break in the seat. I'd put about 1,000 miles on your bike. That's about your standard break-in for the engine. It's the same as for the seat. So break in the seat before you try and look for anything else. Again, that's all personal stuff. I haven't had an issue with it, so I didn't change it. Other than that, you know, I put the windscreen on there, the shorter windscreen. I did that just because it looks cooler, and the stock one really wasn't helping with wind much anyways. I mean, I'm a taller dude, so it really didn't make a difference for me. I've also put the Vance & Hines exhaust on here. It changes the entire sound of the bike. Really makes the bike kind of come alive and sound really good. I like the way this pipe sounds. It lightens the bike up a bit. It takes a lot of weight. That stock exhaust is really heavy. And the Vance & Hines one just kind of replaces all that, simplifies it, and just gives the bike a really good sound. Now, this being a 21 model, a first generation model, I did have some of those teething problems. They weren't anything major. What was the first one? I used to get a bunch of error codes. And they would just be generic error codes. You know, a little code thing would pop up. Now you can clear all that in the bike. You don't need to take it to a dealership, which I really like about that. I think what it had to do was the way the starter was pulling from the battery, the computer would just kind of trip out and be super sensitive. You're like, oh, something went wrong, but really there was nothing wrong. Since then, with the firmware updates that they've done, I haven't had an issue with that code coming up at all. A lot of it, I think, had to do with the starter. I think they replaced the starter clutch pinion gear on the newer models. It was a recall, I believe. And that fixed my starter problem. Sometimes you would go to start the bike and it would just kind of meh, and nothing. But then you press the button again and it would start up normally on the second time, no problem. But I don't believe the new models have that problem. I think that got resolved. I've had some fork seals go out, but that was no big deal. Those were all covered under warranty. And I believe that might have been partially my fault. The second one happened at about 42,000 miles, so I had some miles on the bike. It was time to rebuild the forks anyways. The biggest issue that I've had by far, and it's not that big of a deal, it was covered under warranty, so it was no money out of my pocket. Fuel pumps. The early models have a tendency to go through fuel pumps. The fuel pumps last me about 20,000 miles, and then they'd start to be a little loud. They would still work, but they'd get a little louder and you could tell something wasn't quite right. I believe in the new ones, they have fixed that problem by coating the inside of the tank, and that helps prolong the fuel pumps. So I'm hoping that that's fixed. But despite all that, I've really loved the bike. The bike does everything I want it to do. It can do everything I wanted a bike to do. It's comfortable for long distance traveling. You could be on the highway all day on this bike. And me being a taller rider, it's hard for me to find a bike that fit me. And to me, it fits great. The bike is super fun, capable. I mean, the bike's more capable than I am. I'm still learning. I mean, I learned to ride dirt on this. And all the rider modes have definitely helped. And just kind of dumb it down, which, say what you want about that, they're nice. Like, people are complaining about how, oh, they've got all the technology and stuff, and it's, man, okay, I get it. Like, I have a dumb dirt bike too, and that thing's super fun just because it's just basic. But having the tech is pretty awesome. But anyways, that's gonna do it for today. If you guys have any questions about the bike, if you're interested in one, leave a comment, ask me a question. I'll try and answer them the best I can. If I can't, I'll try and find the answers for you. I would really like to see more of these bikes out there because they're such a good bike. They're so capable. And I think people are just a little hesitant when it comes to they're a new bike. So, and I totally get that. I was the same way. Still kind of am. But so far, it's been a great bike. So anyways, have a good one, guys. Later.